Making headlines this hour, Maldives and India conclude a joint military exercise in Lama Atoll. A train derails in Uttar Pradesh, killing 2 and injuring at least 43 people. And United States dismisses Russian assertions that the US decision to ease restrictions on arming Syrian rebels is a hostile act.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome you all to TVM News in English. I'm Zinat Hassan here with the news in details. President Abdullah Yameen Abdul Gayoom sends a message of condolence to the President of Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sirisena, following the demise of former Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Ratnasiri Wickramaнаik. The President said in his message that it was with deep sorrow that he learned of the demise of the former Sri Lankan Prime Minister. He further said that the former Prime Minister will no doubt be always remembered for his distinguished services to the country as a veteran politician and for his effort in fostering the progress and prosperity of Sri Lanka. He also said that at this time of national grief, the government and the people of the Maldives extend profound sympathy to the President of Sri Lanka, the government and the friendly people of Sri Lanka. President Yameen concluded his message by asking the President of Sri Lanka to convey sincere condolences to the family of the former Prime Minister Ratnasiri Wickramaнаik. Government officials urge all citizens to participate in the planned activities to mark the day Maldives embraced Islam. The day Maldives embraced Islam is celebrated annually on the 2nd of Rabiul Akhir. This year, the day falls on December 31st. The official activities to mark the day is organized jointly by the Islamic Ministry, Home Ministry, Divya Language Academy and Public Service Media in partnership with other government agencies and media outlets. Official activities to mark the day will kick off on Friday with Maghrib prayer congregations to be held in selected mosques across the country, and it will be followed by a special supplication. Friday evening will also see official functions held simultaneously in 4 regions: Mali City, Kurdufushi Island, Addu City and Formula City. A special program to clean mosques across the country is planned for Saturday. Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure reveals plans to develop the east coast of Mali City similar to that of the Rasfano Artificial Beach in Mafana Ward. Speaking to PSM News, Minister Muiz said the east coast will be developed under the government's plan to develop more public areas in the congested capital. He further added that the area will have similar facilities as that of Rasfano, including an outdoor gym. According to the minister, they are aiming to complete all the projects that started in 2016 by the end of next year. Ministry of Education says it is continuing its effort to replace expatriate teachers with trained locals. As part of the efforts, the ministry is now seeking locals to replace the positions currently filled by expatriate teachers. The ministry says most of the foreign teachers were recruited on contact basis in 2016 due to a lack of trained locals. The ministry has now invited applications from interested local teachers with relevant qualifications for teaching positions in government-run schools in Mali and the atolls. Indira Gandhi Memorial Hospital IGMH bans the sale of energy drinks from outlets within its premises. Speaking about the decision, Media Director of IGMH Ahmad Mausum said energy drinks will not be sold from any outlet in IGMH or Vilimale Hospital. He said that IGMH encourages the sale of fresh and healthy from outlets located within its premises. The Maldives and India conclude a joint military exercise in Lama Atoll. The exercise was conducted at the Maldives Central Area Headquarters in Kaddu Island. A ceremony was held yesterday at the MNDF Central Area Headquarters to mark the conclusion of the exercise. Director General of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Brigadier General Zakaria Musa, attended the ceremony as the chief guest. Certificates were presented to officers who participated in the exercise by India's 91st Infantry Brigade's Brigadier Michael A.J. Fernandez and MNDF Brigadier General Zakaria Musa. The military exercise was held from 15th to 27th of this month and was aimed at further increasing joint operational coordination between the armed forces of both countries. Tonight in business news, Maldives Inland Revenue Authority (MIRA) publishes the names of taxpayers who have failed to file their GST returns and pay their GST for the second quarter of 2016. The agency says the list was published under the policy on disclosure of non-compliant GST registered persons. MIRA says before the publishing the list, these taxpayers have been contacted several times and informed of the penalties they might face if they do not file their returns and pay their GST. MIRA has also sent SMS to these taxpayers and visited the premises of those they were unreachable via phone. The list published on MIRA's website includes 125 companies from varying sectors. According to the agency, if any of these taxpayers submit their returns or pay their GST, their name would be removed from the list. Shanghai Kunming Railway Operation. The first high-speed train running from southwestern China's Kunming city to Guiyang city passes the stop of the Pu'an station. The travel from Kunming to Guiyang marked the official opening of China's Shanghai Kunming high-speed railway line, a major high-speed rail corridor connecting the east areas to the west. The 2,252-kilometer railway line will cut the travel time between Shanghai and Kunming from 35 hours to only 11 hours. The section that links Shanghai and Guiyang had already been opened last year. And now we look into the latest news updates from international arena. A train derails in Uttar Pradesh, killing 2 and injuring at least 43 people, the third such accident in recent weeks that has raised concerns about the safety of the aging rail network. The train derailed near Kanpur early in the morning. TV footage from the scene showed mangled, toppled carriages, some with their wheels still on the tracks. 2 coaches had fallen off a bridge into a small canal. Some passengers were seen picking up their luggage from near the tracks. Kanpur's Inspector General Zaki Ahmed, who was at the scene, said 2 people had also died and that the injured had been taken to nearby hospitals. India's Cricket railway system is the world's 4th largest. It runs 11,000 trains a day, including 7,000 passengers trains carrying more than 20 million people. But it has a poor safety record, with thousands of people dying in accidents every year, including in derailments and collisions. This was at least the 3rd such accident in recent weeks. On November 20th, at least 146 people died when a train derailed near the same city. A bomb attack targets a member of Afghanistan's parliament in the capital Kabul, wounding him and several other people. An official with the parliament's security department said Fakhri Behishti, a member of parliament from Baiman province, and his son were wounded in the blast. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack, which destroyed the vehicle in which Behishti was traveling, badly damaged other vehicles, and shattered the windows of nearby shops. Last week, another member of parliament was targeted by a suicide bomber who killed 7 people. The member of parliament survived. The United States dismisses Russian assertions that the U.S. decision to ease restrictions on arming Syrian rebels is a hostile act.
The U.S. State Department on Tuesday dismissed Russian assertions that a U.S. decision to ease restrictions on arming Syrian rebels had opened the way for deliveries of shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles. Earlier, Russia had said that the move to provide the rebels with a weapons system called Medpeds would directly threaten Russian forces in Syria. But State Department spokesman Mark Toner said it's not true that the US has no plans to provide those arms to the Syrian rebels.
My point is, this is not a new allegation that we've seen from them, and the fact is that we're not providing any kind of man-pads or anything to the Syrian opposition.
Moscow last year launched a campaign of airstrikes in Syria to help President Bashar al-Assad and his forces retake territory lost to rebels, some of whom are supported by the United States. The Russian Foreign Ministry on Tuesday said the policy change eased and restrictions on weapons supplies had been set out in a new U.S. defense spending bill that was signed into law by the U.S. President Barack Obama last week. Russian officials called the step a hostile act. But Toner said the administration remains opposed to providing the portable anti-aircraft missiles to Syrian opposition groups. The National Defense Authorization Act, signed into law by Obama on December 23rd, appears designed to assuage the administration's misgivings, but imposes a new layer of congressional oversight on any presidential decision to provide them. A provision bars the U.S. Defense Department from spending funds on man-pads for Syrian rebel groups until the Secretary of State and Defense submit a report to congressional committees explaining the decision to do so.
The Iraqi government says it believes IS will be defeated in Iraq in around 3 months' time.
Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said on Tuesday it would take around 3 months to rout IS as US-backed forces battle to dislodge the militants from their city stronghold of Mosul. Abadi previously said the city would be retaken by the end of this year, but commanders said the operation has been slowed by the need to protect civilians who have mostly stayed in their homes rather than fleeing as was expected. Asked to respond to comments by a commander of the US-led coalition that it would take as long as 2 years to eliminate IS and its cells in Iraq and Syria, Abadi said the Americans were very pessimistic and they were talking about a very long time, but victories achieved by their heroic and brave fighters over ISIS have helped reduce this period in Syria and Iraq to 2 years. Mosul, the largest city held by IS anywhere across the once vast territory it controlled in Iraq and neighboring Syria, has been held by the group since its fighters drove the US-trained army out in June 2014. Besides Mosul, IS still controls the Iraqi towns of Tel Afar and Qaim as well as Hawija and the surrounding area. The fall of Mosul would probably end IS's ambition for a self-styled caliphate, but the fighters could still mount a more traditional insurgency in Iraq and plot or inspire more attacks on the West.
Police briefly evacuated the lobby of Trump Tower in New York City, home to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, after a suspicious package was discovered. Tourists and workers were seen running from the building as police cleared the skyscraper and the surrounding sidewalks. A spokesman for New York City's police said the department's bomb squad responded to the scene and the authorities issued an all-clear message shortly afterward. Trump is spending the holidays at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida and was not at the 58-story skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe offers the sincere and everlasting condolence of the Japanese people to those who died in the attacks on Pearl Harbor, and he and US President Barack Obama emphasized the strong alliance between the two countries.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe offered his condolences on Tuesday to the people who were killed in the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 after visiting the memorial to the sunken battleship USS Arizona. Abe made the remarks to a group of assembled military personnel, among whom were some of the survivors of the attack. He made the symbolic visit to Pearl Harbor along with US President Barack Obama to highlight the strength of the US-Japan alliance just weeks before Republican Donald Trump takes over the White House. Obama said Abe's visit to the site of the 1941 Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor showed the power of reconciliation.
Thank you for your gracious words. Thank you for your presence here today. a historic gesture that speaks to the power of reconciliation and the alliance between the American and Japanese peoples. A reminder that even the deepest wounds of war can give way to friendship and lasting peace.
Abe and Obama commemorated the dead at the USS Arizona Memorial, built over the remains of the sunken battleship USS Arizona. Abe became the first Japanese Prime Minister to visit the memorial, a centerpiece of the historic site. The two leaders stood solemnly in front of a wall inscribed with the names of those who died in the 1941 attack and took part in a brief red-laying ceremony followed by a moment of silence. Japanese forces attacked Pearl Harbor with torpedo planes, bombers and fighter planes on the morning of December 7, 1941, pounding the U.S. fleet moored there in the hope of destroying U.S. power in the Pacific. Obama and Abe met ahead of visit to discuss ties between the two former World War II foes before heading to the site. Japan hopes to present a strong alliance with the United States amid concerns about China's expanding military capability. The leaders' meeting was also meant to reinforce the US-Japan partnership ahead of the January 20th inauguration of Trump, whose opposition to the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Pact and campaign threats to force allied countries to pay more to host US forces raised concern among all allies, such as Japan.
Tonight in sports, Cristiano Ronaldo is declared as the best player of the year at the Globe Soccer Awards in Dubai, and FIFA President Gianni Infantino's plan to have 48 teams at the World Cup gets a boost from Samuel Eto'o. Let's have a look.
Live on a video link, Cristiano Ronaldo told an award ceremony it had probably been his best year and he wanted to do it all over again next year. Ronaldo was declared Player of the Year and his team Real Madrid the Club of the Year at the Globe Soccer Awards in Dubai.
Well, as I say, it was a dream year in terms of individual and collective. Probably was my best year so far. We win the Champions League for Real Madrid. We win for the first time for the Portugal national team the first important title. As you mentioned, I win the Golden Ball. I win World Cup clubs. What I can ask for more? The people still doubt about me, about Real Madrid, about national team. And you have the proof. We win everything. So, amazing year. I'm so happy. You know, it was a fantastic year, individual and collective. Next year, we're going to try to do the same. We know it's going to be tough because it's almost impossible. But every year is a challenge for me. So, I will try to do my best.
Mark Clattenburg was declared Referee of the Year, having officiated at the UEFA Champions League final, the UEFA Euro 2015 final and the English FA Cup final this year. Asked about the video review system which was trialled at the recent Club World Cup tournament, Clattenburg agreed it was the future of refereeing. FIFA President Gianni Infantino was directly addressed by Cameroonian player Samuel Eto'o, who was picking up a Lifetime Achievement Award. Eto'o is the most decorated African player, formerly of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea and Inter Milan.
Carrie Fisher, who rose to fame as Princess Leia in the Star Wars films, dies in Los Angeles at the age of 60. On Hollywood Boulevard, movie fans paid tribute to Fisher, who became a household name after starring in the Star Wars movies.
Carrie Fisher, a mental health advocate who spoke about her own struggles with bipolar disorder and cocaine addiction, had suffered a heart attack on Friday, December 23rd, as she flew into Los Angeles. The daughter of actor Derby Reynolds and the late singer Carrie Fisher had been returning from England where she was shooting the third season of British sitcom Catastrophe. On Hollywood Boulevard, movie fans paid tribute to Fisher, who became a household name after starring in the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, a lot of people are sad, and they actually want to take photos with us in remembrance of Carrie. And, you know, one thing we know for sure, the Force is with you, Carrie. We love you.
She was a huge star. You know, Star Wars was an amazing film. She was an amazing part of it, and it's a great loss that she's died so young.
Fisher was met by paramedics and rushed to the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center after suffering the heart attack during the flight on Friday. Fisher reprised the role in 2 Star Wars sequels. She gained momentum in the 1983's Return of the Jedi for her character as Princess Leia. She returned last year in Disney's reboot of the Star Wars franchise, The Force Awakens, appearing as the matronly General Leia Organa, leader of the resistance movement fighting the evil First Order. Filming was completed in July on Fisher's next appearance as Leia in Star Wars Episode 8, which is set to reach theaters in December 2017. Fisher's Princess Leia makes a surprise appearance at the end of Rogue One, the latest blockbuster which opened this month in the Star Wars series.
That's all we have for you this evening. Thank you for being with us. Good night and bye-bye.